A lot of great denim campaigns of late.
Certainly getting noticed. Obviously, American Eagle, Sydney Sweeney had
Yep,
a lot of
that one was
opinions on it.
high visibility.
High visibility.
We will say that.
Beyonce back in the day.
Cowboy Carter, Levi's.
Yeah, and there's one recently.
That was a great collaboration. Well, how could you forget Cat's Eye for Gap? Oh my God, the music video that spawned 1,000 TikToks, a million TikToks.
Yeah.
So good.
Good campaign will take off.
A good campaign will go viral.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk about a campaign that you are super proud of, a campaign that really spanned across HubSpot's marketing department, but that your team really orchestrated and led. Loop marketing campaign. And we're going to use that basically as a springboard to talk about all things campaign development.
Yeah, I think we'll walk everyone through how we built it and then all the assets and like really get into it, almost doing a breakdown of our own campaign.
This is Field Notes, the show where we break down what's happening in marketing. I'm Asia Frost.
And I'm Kyle.
We have put together a fantastic campaign development playbook that you can click the link in the description to download immediately. It comes with AI prompts, it comes with templates, it comes with basically everything you need to run an amazing campaign yourself. So check that out. Okay, let's jump in. Let's start off with, what was the Loop marketing campaign?
We had been building kind of this methodology and playbook at HubSpot over the last couple of years, moving to more of this like always on motion. Our teams are constantly making updates to improve. And we wanted to like codify that playbook and that methodology. And so we had put together this loop marketing framework where people are moving away from like a traditional campaign-based model, which might be a 90-day campaign and then it ends, to more of this always on and leveraging a lot of AI to help them do that. And so we needed to bring that to market. And we had a little over a month to like put this thing together. And so we had to do it from start to finish. What's the messaging? What's the positioning? What are all the assets we need to build? And we launched it at Inbound on Yamini's keynote.
I know you were talking to Kip, our CMO, throughout this process, and Kip was really responsible in championing loop marketing.
Yep.
He was like, Kyle, if you succeed, you will have done X. If you fail, you will have done Y. What did that look like?
When it comes to campaigns, it all starts with a brief. I think the brief is the most powerful document.
Also the unsung hero.
Unsung hero. It has all the information you need, but not too much information where it's prescriptive or confusing. So the framework we use for our briefs is objective, audience, channel, content, creative. It all starts with the objective. So to your question, what was the KPI? Like, what are we measuring here? So for this campaign, we knew it was more of an awareness play.
Right.
We needed to generate awareness with our own customer base, and we needed to generate awareness in the market. So when you're looking at awareness, there's generally like these quarterly awareness and consideration studies. And then also at a campaign-based level, you can look at impressions.
Yeah.
How many impressions are we driving across all of our marketing and advertising activities? How many people are we reaching with this message? So that was the primary. The second piece I mentioned in the brief is the audience. So this is really important when you're developing a campaign. The objective and the audience inform everything else. It's going to inform what channels you pick. It's going to inform your messaging and your content. So for Loop, we actually had like 3 audiences. We were like, okay, what are the different personas that we have? And it's important when you're saying audience to get really specific. You can't just say like marketers.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, obviously we're trying to reach marketers, right? So when you're doing a brief, you want to get in the weeds, where we were like, well, we're going to have messaging specifically for Marketing Hub customers. So making sure that our customers
so
are
people who
very
already,
familiar.
which makes a ton of sense because they're the people who I think want and crave this playbook the most. They're like, hey, what comes after Inbound? And we need to be like, this comes after Inbound.
Yeah. And they're the ones who are going to carry the message for you. Obviously, they're longtime
Our
customers.
torchbearers.
For sure.
Yeah.
Then we have a great partner ecosystem. And so a lot of our partners are implementing HubSpot for businesses. We need them to be familiar with the methodology and the technology and how it all works together. And then the third is like the general market. For us, we get very specific and say, we're looking at startup, scale up businesses. We're looking at people who are in marketing leadership positions, director of marketing, VP of marketing. And then you get into detail on like, what are their media consumption habits? What channels do they go to, et cetera. So we had 3 personas that we needed to create communications for. Now the channels. So what are the channels that we're going to use to reach those 3 groups I just talked about? right?
Are they going to be dictated by the media consumption habits?
They are.
Yes.
They are. That's
I've been
why you
paying
have to do
attention.
that, right? For a customer communication, we
Mm-hmm.
have a customer email.
Mm-hmm.
We have in-app notifications and communications. They have customer success reps.
Yeah.
So there are channels there to communicate with that group. For partners, there's similar communication infrastructure. We're communicating with our partners, partner day, all other emails. And then more of, I think, what people are familiar with when you're trying to reach a net new audience, your paid, earned, owned activities across all the different channels. So for each group, we actually mapped, okay, here are the channels we're going to use to reach that audience. So as a team, we're sitting down and you put together what we call a comms plan.
Mm-hmm.
This includes all your activities, paid, earned, owned. So for us on the paid side, we had a dedicated budget.
Mm-hmm.
We had a brief. We worked with your team to put together a media plan, an ad plan. And we said, okay, we feel strongly that we can reach this audience on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
That was a place where we saw a lot of activity. We felt that there could be a ton of creator, like influencer activations on LinkedIn.
Mm-hmm.
And we had kind of your standard meta LinkedIn ads that are in feed. And we had a proper mix between them. But we did all that upfront work to figure out, okay, where the audience is spending their time. The last thing I'll say is I think we probably had 1 or 2 email sends to some larger publishers.
Okay, so that was paid.
Yep.
Let's talk through the other 2 big pillars, earned and owned.
Yep. Yeah. Let's start with owned. So on,
Okay.
on the owned front, I think it's important as you're building out the full campaign plan. I like to start at the bottom of the campaign, meaning the point of conversion,
Okay.
because you need a place to send your whole audience,
Mhm.
right? And so for us, it started with a Loop marketing landing page.
Mm-hmm.
Really important to explain the concept, talk about the tools, talk about some of the tactics, just help people better understand what is this methodology and how can you implement it.
Mm-hmm.
We also felt it was important to give people more like tools, utilities to start doing it right away.
Mm-hmm.
A big part of Loop is how you can use AI as a part of your strategy. So we built a prompt library and it was like specifically for Loop where the prompts had mapped to like certain channels that we use. Then you would go to what I would consider kind of your engagement layer, where it's your content strategy. So whether you have a blog, an email newsletter, a podcast, or YouTube channel, you're going to figure out how do I bring this Loop messaging to those channels. Now, I think what's really important about that is you don't want to be overly promotional. If someone's reading a newsletter, they've subscribed to that newsletter for a reason. So it doesn't have to be a whole email on like, here's Loop, go check it out right now. What we ended up doing is our newsletter writers actually talked to the people who developed Loop and did like a feature story.
Oh, cool.
Like, how has your strategy changed over the last couple of years? How are you using AI? What are some of your favorite tools?
Really bring it to life.
Bring it to life.
Yeah.
And so that for our always on, the newsletters were more like features. And then on YouTube, we felt YouTube was actually really critical. Video, if you like check out the latest state of marketing report, video is obviously a preferred medium for folks. On YouTube, we wanted to do an explainer. Here's what Loop is. Here's how to break it down like phase by phase. Here's what each of these mean. Here's how you can do it yourself instead of just like a 60-second video that's like, please check this out.
Yeah.
So on the owned side, I think you actually do a lot of education and more just engagement to try to introduce this concept to your audience.
Yeah. Let's talk about earned. Earned is maybe one of the hardest.
I think it's extremely hard.
Yeah.
I totally respect our comms, PR, influencer folks.
Sure.
Because it's the performance piece matters, right? We have the KPI we have to hit for leadership, but it's a lot about relationship building. So if we go back to like the brief and how we plan a campaign, it goes back to the audience. Where do they give their attention? They're not always on our channels. They're not hanging out on HubSpot.com.
We wish they were, but
yeah, hopefully most of the time. So on the earned side, we created essentially a target list. Okay. We want to pitch this concept to certain podcasters that we think it would be relevant for their audience. We wanted to reach out to some influencers, creators. We actually, I think it was 30 LinkedIn influencers that we reached out to.
It's a lot. Yeah. I did some of those media interviews.
Yeah.
I was not on a larger TV network, but I did do a few podcasts, a few trade pubs. And what was really interesting that I did not know before I started doing these interviews on HubSpot's behalf was that often what is pitched to the journalist or the person covering the topic is not the quintessential essence
Sure.
of the message, because that's very brand centric. That's what we at HubSpot are trying to convey. Like, we're trying to pitch Loop.
Yep.
But for example, I know a lot about AEO.
Sure.
AEO is a very hot topic right now.
Yep.
So the way our team pitched me was, hey, Asia can talk about AEO. And then I would bring up that AEO is a critical part of the amplify stage of the loop.
Right.
And so I think often a big part of an effective earned strategy is to figure out what your Trojan horse is for your message.
Sure.
And then, of course, make sure that the folks that you are putting in front of those journalists can carry that Trojan horse in.
Yeah. And it's so important. And so once you do that, creative comes last, in my opinion, where you're like, okay, I know who I'm reaching. I know where I'm reaching them. I know what I'm going to say.
Yep.
Because if your messaging is like, especially for Loop, we were excited about it. It's a major shift in our industry.
Yeah.
We know the community is asking for it. And so we wanted to be HubSpot and be approachable and fun, but we came with a little credibility this time. We were like, we've been doing this for the past 3-4 years.
Yeah.
We finally have like these playbooks that we're excited to share with you. And we had that moment at Inbound to be able to launch that. And I think you'll see in a lot of the visuals, kind of the darker magenta, a lot of like some of our newer color palette it didn't come off as fun and bubbly. It came off as a little more sophisticated, incredible.
Okay.
I would almost describe it as a little academic, where it's like, hey, we've done our homework a little bit.
Okay.
And we're ready to share.
And we're going to show you our work.
Yep.
And because it was a big team effort, we also need big results. So walk us through what the impact of this campaign was, at least so far. I know it's ongoing.
Yeah, it's ongoing. We did see phenomenal results. I think if you look at the traffic to the Loop marketing landing page, it was 3-4x what we had done on some previous launch campaigns.
Wow. And that's impressive too, because I think a product launch, it's much easier to communicate in many ways.
Sure.
You know, it's like, oh, like if you want this, come here. And this was much more of an idea.
Much more.
So yeah, I'm really proud of that. We have made it super easy for you with a campaign development playbook that has everything from AI prompts to templates and all the tips and tricks that you need. So again, check that out.
So we've come to our favorite part of the episode.
Our favorite part of the episode. I am really excited. I gave you a little teaser of this last word.
Yeah.
You know, our controversial marketing takes.
Sure.
Before we started filming, and you told me this was a good one.
I like this one.
Yeah.
I like this one.
Should I kick us off?
You want to go first?
Yeah, I'll go first.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
All right, I will go on you.
All right. Marketers are ruining holidays. I think it's widely accepted that Valentine's Day and Christmas, you know, they've become very commercialized, and that's fine. You know, that's fine. I love a gift. But you know what they're ruining next? What we're ruining next?
Yeah.
Black Friday, Super Bowl commercials.
Yeah.
They've stopped being dropped on the day of, and now these things happen like all month long.
Yes.
This most recent Super Bowl, I'd seen all the commercials already, and I was like, why am I watching this? It's not for the game.
Yeah.
It was not for the game. Bad Bunny was great, so that's why I was watching it.
Sure.
But, you know, marketers, please just stick to the day of.
Done. Pretty good.
Yeah.
I
feel strongly about that one.
Holidays, observances, because we want to be part of the culture, and we just ruin it sometimes.
I think you want to get like ahead of everyone else. You're like, if I drop my sale or my like commercial early, it'll get more airtime. Okay. You ready with yours? Your last word?
Yes.
I'll start when you're ready.
All right. So my last word is start your career at an agency or startup.
Ooh.
We just talked about campaigns. To be able to do a campaign start to finish, you need a lot of at-bats. You need to understand how to do audience research. You need to understand how to put together a comms plan, a brief, a media plan. You need to sell your ideas to your peers.
Yep.
You do that at agencies. And at startups, you also get a ton of opportunities to build all these pieces.
Yeah.
So I'm a big advocate for that. Start in the agency world.
That was perfect, timing-wise. And I also think that was a great take. I did not do an agency first, but all the folks that I know that started at agencies, they come out battle-hardened.
Oh.
They have seen some
client
SHIT.
emails.
Yes.
Client emails.
Synonymous.
Yeah. Their pitches have been shot down.
Their pitches have been shot down, and I actually think that is such valuable experience to have under your belt as you go into different types of environments.
For sure, especially for campaigns.
Yeah.
I just think it's something you got to do.
I'm really glad we had a chance to talk about this, though, because I think there's some great insights and obviously some awesome results.
Yeah, it's a fun breakdown. I'm excited to see how it goes the rest of the year. This has been Field Notes. Thanks for joining us. I'm Kyle.
I'm Asia. We'll see you here next time.